Weather now, we're at that time of the year where, you just cannot expect in the northern plains, upper Midwest, you cannot expect a long-term warming trend. November to December, it's going to get colder. In fact, if you can get a long-term steady state pattern where it doesn't get significantly colder, that's kind of like a warming trend. And that, I think, is what we've got. Granted, we still have pretty cold weather around the Great Plains this weekend. That's going to relax a little bit again this week. As milder weather, here we are at Tuesday. Jet stream going pretty far north, and we do have a split flow pattern right now, which should keep any big storms out of the oceans for the time being. As we go on through the latter part of the week, it will stay fairly mild, and through around Thanksgiving, most of the northern plains, upper Midwest, some pretty nice weather. Later in the weekend, I do think we'll get some colder weather dropping back down, but it won't be any colder really than weather that we've already had. Meanwhile, the really warm weather down south, that'll gradually shrink a little bit. One more surge up into the central plains. And that last week of November, another not so cold stretch before we get into some milder weather again. Precipitation-wise, because of the split, again, no big storms across the country. There'll be some little snows and some little rains. We are setting up later this week for some at least scattered rains out in California, which probably won't put out the fires, but it may help significantly. Toward the end of the week, a more significant storm system along the eastern seaboard. And as we go into that second week, again, no major storms, but the double-barrel jet pattern should eventually descend back into one, but it will be a different shaped pattern. This may be that beginning of that El Nino type pattern, which should mean that as we get on into the winter, not so cold. Short term, though, not too cold. Little snows, but nothing major in the northern plains and upper Midwest, and no real signs of any Arctic outbreaks for the time being.